Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. This is one of 5 parts of a series that I did on Facebook about mineral balancing for your human design type. So in this 5-part series, I'm diving into each of the human design types, what common chronic symptoms show up per your not self theme for each type, and how really staying in that not self theme affects us physically. So what organs and glands it's really affecting when we're stuck in the not self theme. And then how to use mineral balancing to address all of that, specifically mineral balancing. I'll talk a little bit about vitamins. I'll probably mention some gut health stuff in there, but the main focus is about mineral balancing. And so feel free to skip over this episode if this is not your type, unless you just want to learn about all the types, and that's cool too. Or if you have a friend or family member, but feel free to skip to your type. All of these are pretty bite-sized, so pretty short trainings, but at least gives you an idea of how your not self-theme shows up physically in the body and how you can use minerals to help address the possible imbalances. Of course, like I always say, the common chronic symptoms that I talk about for each type, this is not an extensive list. This is not limited to that. There are obviously other issues that can happen in the body, but these are the most common, again, just based on how the specific not self-theme affects the body and kind of just where the energy is flowing per the human design type. So let's jump in, enjoy, and let's get into this 5-part series. All right, we're here for part 2 of mineral balancing for human design type. And last week I started this series of, it's 5-part series, where I'm going through each of the human design types and what it looks like to focus on mineral balancing for each specific human design type. So last week I talked about manifestors. I also went into minerals just in general. So I would go back, if you need like a preface on why I'm talking about minerals, why I talk about minerals so much, I would go back and look at that video, listen to that video. But so far I've talked about manifestors, and today I'm going to talk about generators. So if you watched my video last week, or even if you didn't, I'm talking about kind of what common chronic symptoms are going to show up per human design type and how that affects the mineral balance in the body, and then how to balance that with minerals. So for generators, well, for all human design types, let me say this too. We're looking at the not self theme. The not self theme is kind of what is driving what's going on in the body that's affecting the physical functions of the body. So for generators not self theme is frustration. And when they're feeling frustration, their sacral is going to take the hit because they are sacral beings, as well as their liver. And if you watch the last video of manifestors, I talked about liver, and according to traditional Chinese medicine, anger is an emotion that lives in the liver, and anger is kind of on the same frequency, the same wavelength as frustration. And the sacral center, because this frustration, they're going to feel it. We're looking at sacral and liver. We're looking at the sacral. The sacral center is associated with our reproductive organs and with the upper or the lower GI tract. So it's going to show up as hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, sex drive issues, as well as gut issues. So essentially, when we're going against our sacral, generators are going against their sacral, it's going to show up as a pushing and a forcing things to happen. It's going to look like people pleasing, lack of boundaries, saying yes to things that are no, saying no to things that are yes, right? This forcing and pushing also can show up as overworking, goes against your design as a generator because you are essentially just here to do what lights you up, right? And it can show up as anxiety and burnout. And when it shows up as anxiety and burnout, this is going to be affecting the adrenals. And this is going to affect your hormones, your blood sugar. So some of the most common chronic symptoms for generators are going to be hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, gut issues, blood sugar imbalances, and anxiety. Those are how it's going to show up in the body because of the different organs that it's affecting, these emotions are affecting.
So we're looking at hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, gut issues, blood sugar imbalances, and anxiety. This is what it looks like to look at mineral balancing for these things. So some of this is going to be a crossover for what I talked about with manifestors. But sodium and potassium are first and foremost one. These are going to help regulate how your cells are functioning, right? It's the overall vitality in your cells. Sodium and potassium are helping things in and out of the cell. So cellular health, cellular hydration, cellular function are really focused on these two minerals specifically. Magnesium. So I'll go through the minerals and then I'll talk about what it looks like where to get these. Obviously supplementation, but food first, then supplement. So next is going to be magnesium. Magnesium is going to be what I'm going to talk about for all the types. I'm just going to say that outright. Magnesium is one that we use so much of, and it's so easily depleted. It's very easily depleted in times of stress because our adrenals use so much magnesium. And magnesium is important for 500 to 600 different reactions in the body. It's important for blood sugar regulation, which again is a common symptom here, or a common chronic symptom for hormonal balance. And this is all hormones, right? And I think sometimes when we think about hormones, we just think about the sex hormones, like our estrogen and progesterone, maybe testosterone. But there are so many more hormones in the body than just those. So we're talking about your cortisol, your insulin, right? How your blood sugar is regulated, your hunger signals and your full signals, satiation signals. All of these are dictated by your hormones. Your hormones are the ones that are giving you the signals for all of that. So magnesium is a huge part of this. Now, the other part of magnesium, I know I'm specifically talking about minerals, but I am going to mention vitamins here too, because there are cofactors to all of this. Because we need vitamins, we need minerals. And magnesium is one important one because magnesium is also a cofactor for multiple B vitamins to be made and used by the body. So magnesium is going to be a big one that we want to focus on because your liver needs B vitamins to help with the detox processes. And like I mentioned before, anger, frustration, these are emotions that affect the liver and the body. This is affecting reproductive issues, blood sugar imbalances, all of these things. And so we want to focus on how our liver is functioning. That's a big piece of this. So the B vitamins and magnesium, all of this is going to be important for how your liver is functioning and helping detox the body. So other things, speaking of liver health, there's some other minerals that are really crucial for liver health and how the liver is functioning, how it's detoxing, helping with just overall inflammation. Zinc, selenium, magnesium, which I've already mentioned, copper, and iron. All of these are going to be really important for liver health. This is going to check a lot of boxes. Zinc is really important for liver health. And there are a lot of statistics around people who have like liver disease, liver dysfunction. A lot of them are deficient in zinc. So zinc is a big one for liver health. It's going to affect how your body's creating hormones, getting rid of hormones, converting hormones, eliminating hormones. It's a huge piece of it. So, let's see, B12, and again, I know this is a mineral, but it does use cobalt, or that's a vitamin. It does use cobalt, which is a mineral, but B12 is really important for your hormones. And B12 doesn't work on its own. Like there are other things, there's cofactors. Again, all these things work together. So other B vitamins, folate, B6, iron, all of these help B12 function right in the body, and it's going to help with regulating hormones. So B vitamins are really crucial to this. And like I said before, we need magnesium to make the B. The other thing with B12, which is why I'm mentioning it here, is B12 is involved in methylation, which is basically how your liver is breaking down excess hormones and waste, cellular waste. And so we need all of these things to help with the detox process of the body. Now, the last thing I want to mention here for generators, I forgot which type I was talking about for generators, is adrenals. And so I talked about anxiety. I talked about showing up as like burnout, right? When generators are kind of going against their design. And when we're looking at burnout, anxiety, all of those things, these are things that are affecting our adrenals. This constant need, this perpetual need to work and to do and to keep going. This is run by our root center, just a pressure center to this, like the drive to go, to keep doing. And our root center is associated with our adrenals, connected to our adrenals. And so this is what's going to take the biggest hit. And for mani-gens and generators, I'll talk about mani-gens in the next section. But for both of these types, adrenal burnout, adrenal fatigue is so common just because I say we because I'm a Mani-Gen, we're such energetic beings. We have so much energy that needs to get out, and sometimes we don't know when to stop. And if you saw my stories today or yesterday, I talked about a session that I had with a client, and that was essentially the conversation that we had, where she was like, no, I've learned so much with you about nutrition and my body, but I've never learned how to rest. Like, I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to turn it off. And while this is common for any type, it doesn't have to be a generator or a Mani-Gen. It's especially true for generators and Mani-Gens. Again, because we have the energy to do all these things, and so we have a hard time saying no. It's like, well, I have the energy, I might as well. Where could do it and should do it are two different things, right? So your adrenals are going to take the biggest hit. And I can say this from experience too, because I have dealt with full-on adrenal burnout before and had to repair. I'm still, working on trying to take care of my adrenals, repairing it from the damage that I did to it for so many years. And when we're looking at supporting the adrenals, two main minerals, now there's multiple minerals, two main minerals, sodium and magnesium, are going to be the most important in managing, helping balance adrenals. Sodium and magnesium. Sodium, and we want to get sodium, we want to get both of these, get these from both food sources and supplementing. And not that we're taking a supplement of sodium, but intentionally adding sodium to things like your water, right? At this, one of the things that I have all my clients do, we're adding a little bit of Celtic sea salt or unrefined red bean salt to their water. Like, we're adding, especially if you're living in a chronically stressed state, or you're trying to repair damage that's already been done to adrenals. And we're looking at full-on adrenal burnout, which I've done 3 in the past 2 weeks. I've had 3 sessions, like lab sessions with clients looking at their labs, and all of them, their adrenals are just like totally just in the toilet. So when we're looking at that, sodium and magnesium are going to be the two main minerals that we're going to use to help kind of bring those back to life. And obviously there's others involved. We're looking at other minerals, but sodium and magnesium, because the adrenals use the most of this, and we get depleted the most easily in those things when our adrenals are working too much, too hard, or they're getting burned out. So that's about the adrenals. The other thing I want to say, a couple other vitamins. I mentioned selenium before. Selenium, iodine. These are 2 that are really crucial for hormones. Calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, iodine, selenium. I said selenium. Yeah. So selenium and iodine specifically are really important for thyroid health. And as women, we lead the world in thyroid issues, thyroid disease, thyroid disorder. Things turn into like Hashimoto's or Graves', like full-on autoimmune disease of the thyroid. And there's just like a whole rabbit hole I could go down just talking about the thyroid, but we can't forget about the thyroid. And again, I think we get so caught up in our sex hormones, like estrogen, progesterone, all of that, that sometimes we kind of, some of us, not all of us, because if you're dealing with the thyroid, then you're constantly thinking about it. But I think sometimes if you've never had, like, been diagnosed with hypothyroidism or had thyroid problems, then you kind of forget, like, oh, my thyroid must be functioning fine, but that's not necessarily the case. And so often, if our adrenals are struggling, our adrenals and our thyroid have a very special relationship. They talk to each other. They have to be able to work together. So the adrenals and the thyroid talk to each other. They work together. We have to work on balancing both. And a lot of times, I'd say most of the time, 99% of the time, if there's adrenal issues, there are thyroid issues, and vice versa. Now, sometimes this is like a chicken or egg situation. Who knows which one was the first to, the first straw to break. But either way, you cannot support the thyroid without supporting the adrenals. You cannot support the adrenals without supporting the thyroid. So selenium, iodine, zinc, magnesium, calcium, all of these have to also be taken into consideration when supporting hormones, because it's going to help support the thyroid. Now, just like I mentioned in the manifestors training, calcium I've mentioned here. Calcium is important for thyroid health. It's important for hormone health just in general, specifically the thyroid. We're looking at calcium. Calcium also helps with blood sugar regulation. So it does help with multiple ways to help balance hormones. We want to keep calcium in the right place. So as I mentioned in the training about manifestors, boron and vitamin K, these are some of the cofactors, magnesium too. Some of the cofactors that help keep calcium in the right place, meaning it's keeping it, calcium is a structural mineral. It's supposed to be, 99% of it's supposed to be in your bones and your teeth. We want to keep it there and make sure it's doing its job and it's not being pushed out into the tissues causing other problems. So we have to consider boron, which is a mineral, vitamin K. Those are going to be the cofactors for calcium that you want to also include when you're looking at balancing this out. So all of these that I just mentioned, I've mentioned sodium, potassium. Oh, potassium too. Potassium is a really important one for your thyroid. I don't want to leave that one out. I mentioned sodium, potassium, magnesium. I mentioned selenium, iron, zinc, calcium. So where do we get these with food? A lot in B vitamins. I've mentioned a lot of B vitamins. A lot of these are going to be found in plant-based foods. I'm not saying you have to go on a plant-based diet. I'm not saying you can't get them from other places, but a lot of these, especially magnesium. Magnesium is one of those you have to get it. I mean, it's leafy greens, it's nuts and seeds. Like those are the big sources of magnesium. Even if you're eating a ton of this is one of the minerals that I think everybody should be supplementing, no matter how great or perfect your diet is. Typically, most of us aren't getting enough. And magnesium is one that, I mean, I have yet to have, it's pretty much deficient in the majority of us. So adding in that as a supplement is going to be helpful. Nuts, seeds, leafy greens, those are all going to be ways to get most of the other vitamins and minerals that I talked about. The sodium I mentioned, looking at Celtic sea salt, a really good quality unrefined sea salt. Selenium, which I mentioned in the manifestors training. Selenium is such an easy way to get selenium. Is literally one Brazil nut has your whole day's worth. So you can just have a Brazil nut and you're set. Fish, eggs, leafy greens, I think I already mentioned that. Those are also going to be really good sources of things like iodine and iron and copper, selenium, zinc, all these things we're talking about. So whole foods, right? Fish, nuts, leafy greens, whole grains, eggs, spices too. Spices have a lot of trace minerals. Teas, like really good organic teas, are going to have some trace minerals. These are all really good ways to include this, get it in your diet, and then supplementing where you need to. So this is the supplementing thing is kind of a longer conversation than this, because it's very by you individual, right? It's going to depend on your situation. It's going to depend on your function in your body, your lifestyle, your environment, a lot of things. I can say, matter of factly, magnesium is one that I'm going to always recommend to supplement. So everybody should be supplementing that. And if you are already having hormonal issues, imbalances, I was trying to think of the word I wanted to use, imbalances, issues, a good B complex is going to be really helpful for that, because it's going to help, again, like I said, it's going to help with your detox processes with your liver, how your liver is functioning, how it's helping convert the hormones, get rid of the hormones. So a good B complex is going to be good for all of that. So this was all about generators and mineral balancing specifically for generators. I would love to know if you're a generator out there. I'm going to do another one on manifesting generators. It's going to be pretty similar. There's a couple nuances there, but I'll do a separate one too, because I don't want to downplay any of the types here. There's 5 different types for a reason. So the next training will be on mineral balancing for Manny Gens. So I will see y'all next time, and let me know.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.